name is Parthenia. I am the chair of professional development in Cadres. I have many years of what we would call in other organizations chapters, but this is Cadres now. It's pretty much the same, just more emphasis on the professional development, more structured in a sense, and more documented because of the affiliation now with DEAC and others accreditation bodies. We are more structured, so there's a little more strength giving in how we do what we do. So today, in a sense, this will be our cadre, our small group. And so a little bit about myself. I've been with CPEI for a little over 2 years. I came from CPSP. I was the administrator and also the chapter oversight lead. So I have some experience, as I said, in that. I am a training supervisor here with CPEI. And I'm also, I hold a limited permit in psychoanalysis with New York State. I live in New York. I have a small psychoanalytic practice, and I have experience in hospital chaplain, prison, mental institution, detox, and a lot of street chaplains. So I have some experience there. In addition to that, I have 3 decades of experience in banking and finance. And I'm glad to be here with you today. This is my heart. This is my love. This is my passion, working in small groups. Someone else can introduce themselves. Don't everyone speak at once. I'm going to volunteer.
I'll go. I want to know, Tina, when do you ever sleep?
Right. Oh, and I have 6 grandchildren, a husband, and a Rottweiler.
Oh my goodness. Make me feel like a slacker. My name is Shirley Roberts. I live in Columbus, New Jersey. I trained under Ted Taylor at Robert Wood Johnson in Hamilton. And I'm presently a hospital chaplain at Centra State Medical Center Health System. It's part of Atlantic Health System in New Jersey. I just was certified as an associate chaplain with CPEI and CPSP at the same time in February. But I would definitely like to just be solely with this organization. I love what I just heard. So I think it's I like the integrity and the ethics. So anyway, that's probably enough.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joseph Maline. I'm a chaplain at Baton Rouge General Hospital down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been here, I did my CPE down here about 4 years ago, and then I was hired by the hospital and been working at the hospital here for, after my CPE for 3 years. I was trained as a supervisor educator, and so I've been leading our CPE groups, our extended groups, for the last year on my own.
Okay, welcome. Dorothea? Okay, I'm not gonna take much more time, but they can introduce themselves at a later date. So what we're gonna do today, what we're really gonna look at, we're gonna talk about our purpose, and of course I put continuing education in caps because that's the core. The announcement that CPEI made, exactly what is a cadre, the cadre oversight committee, foundations of a cadre, continuing education, again, we're going to keep mentioning that throughout. And an example of what a format for continuing education looks like inside of a cadre. Also some instructions, the life, the composition of it, forming, and what you will do as a result of that when you receive your consultation and the various meetings, and then some pilots, because we're kicking this off now. So I'm going to volunteer some persons to lead the cadres. And what I was doing, I was looking at the number of members either training supervisors, supervisors in training, or candidates for BCC. And so we have about 130 total. So if we look at the model of a cadre, that would give
Welcome
us,
from Nashville.
hi, Krista, Nashville. We just introduced ourselves and we're going over the table of
Can you
contents.
see us?
Yes, I see you and like two people in the background.
Let's- Let me do.
Is that correct?
Tina, can you see us?
I can see your chin and I can see three people in the background. Okay, I can see a little more.
Oh, my
But
back.
it's hard. It's just see the top of their heads are cut off.
All right. So, all right, Tina, we've got cadres here. All right, Tina, I've made you host. So whatever you need to do, you're in control here. You should be able to talk to everyone here. So,
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Tina.
Hi. We just went through introductions. Would anyone like to introduce themselves? How many people are in the room? I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There are 7 of them.
Okay, so would a couple want to introduce themselves? We just went through that.
Yeah. So I'll just jump in because I see a few of you guys online. So I'm Ted Taylor, Director of Spiritual Care Volunteers at Parker Johnson.
I'm Dana Trahan, I'm Coordinator of Spiritual Care at St. Tammany Health System.
I'm Pat Davis, retired, Veterans General Medical Center.
I'm Ron Washington. I'm Spiritual Care at Jackson Madison County.
Okay, welcome. Well, we know, just so you know, we cannot see you anymore. We see the floor or something. It shifted, so there you go.
The camera fell and we didn't fall.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ted. So good. I see some, and here's some familiar faces and names. So welcome. And I've introduced myself and some others have already introduced themselves. We're going to jump right into the presentation. This is a very worthwhile presentation here talking about cadres. So what I want to do is introduce this cadre system that we have here now at CPEI, give an overview of it, explain really what it is, some of the key components of it, and what are the benefits. And so this is going to be interactive. And as I said with the group before you join, this is our cadre for today. So we really want to, do some collaboration, some networking, come up with some implementation strategies, and really the steps to integrate. I said that, this will kick off. It's going to springboard our cadres. We're going to have some pilots coming out after this meeting here in Tennessee, our first gathering. So I'm looking at, we have about 130 persons that I've identified that Dallas sent out. They're either training supervisor, certified already in BCC, or looking to be certified. So it's about 130. So if you take the model that we've developed here as a cadre and have 6 to 12 members, no less than 6, no more than 12 in your group, we should have about 12 cadres. And then there's others that are coming, but that's where we're going to kick off. That's where we're going to start. And those persons are to have a certain amount of CEUs per year. So that's why we're going to start there, because as of this year, December 31st, your forms, your reports will be due. And so we're going to kick it off where you're going to present in your report the continuing educations that was done. Instead of those persons submitting it directly to the oversight committee, you're going to submit it on the form. So that's why you'll hear more about that later on. We're getting to more details, but that's why, we want to start off with a pilot. And this is what we're going to do. When it talks about implementation strategies, these are some of the things that we're going to do and how we're going to work it through with only this short period of time. I'll show you. Don't get excited about it. don't get anxious, you know, we're gonna be able to get it done by the year end. So continuing education, as I just said, there's a certain requirement level that each chaplain and each supervisor needs to have. The chaplains, there's a minimum of 10 hours per year, and if you're a supervisor, it's 15. So there are some things, some ideals that we have, and by now I'm pretty sure you've already done it. They've already been completed. If not, you got about a month to get it done. So moving forward, it will be done as one. So say if there's 12 members in your cadre, you will submit one form and there's a line for each member. If you conducted it, it probably will be better for next year. As a cadre, you had a retreat, you had welcoming visitors, presenters, someone presented within your cadre, it'll be done to say, this is what we did as a cadre. This year is going to look a little different because we have so many different variations, and you might have time to do a presentation, I don't know. But that's up to each cadre how they're going to submit. Any questions so far? Are you with me? And I'm going a little fast. I'm making up for time, but I don't know if I really have to do that. But because I want to get.
Tina,
Yes, ma'am.
so are the cadres already assigned?
It will be when this is over at the end
Okay,
of
okay,
the gathering. I'm going to send out an email. I'm going to volunteer some people.
Okay.
Ted, I'm going to volunteer you.
okay.
I know you too well. You're volunteering.
Correct. You knew you was going. So I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to pick 12. They're going to be variations. It's going to be, so we'll get to that a little later on. I'm getting excited now. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, so the announcement came out. So we've had the green light. CPEI is implementing this. It's true. It's going forward. We're moving on. All the supervisors, as I said, those with credentialing certifications will have to be a part of a cadre. There's others who may feel they don't need to be a part of a group, but in terms of reporting, you need to report in through a cadre and not every single person, because what has happened, and you know, I've been looking over the reports from last year and prior years, persons resubmit their continuing educations based on their level. So say if they're a clinical chaplain, they'll submit a form for clinical chaplain. Then if they're a supervisor, they will submit a form for supervisor. So now we have like 3 different forms for one person when you just take the highest level. So if your highest level is a supervisor, that's where you are submitting your continuing education. So, you know, it helps that you'll be in a cadre, a small group, because then your group submits one. So this has been implemented. It's being implemented by CPEI. It's going forward. We're doing it. What is a cadre? You see my picture? It's a bunch of, it's a small group of people. And it's that we're all trained or working to be trained or in training. So we're coming together, sharing our thoughts, sharing our ideals, supporting each other, developing, and just really growing, you know, individually and collectively. We're growing as a group. We will come up with different ways of doing it. You may have a thought that may work for the whole group. Someone else may have a thought, but it's collectively growing and learning together, continuing our education. And, you know, we're looking for diversity in these cadres. Not everyone the same nationality, the same background, the same age, the same diversity at its best. I remember when I was making or creating a small group for me, and I've done many of them, but one particular thing that I would look at, it's all the different levels and styles and backgrounds that each person brings. So I don't want to be in a group of all hospital chaplains because we all have the same experience. You know, so I want to hear someone in the prison. I want to hear someone in mental health. I want to hear someone in hospitals. I want to hear, you know, just bring diversity into your groups. The oversight committee, we do a lot. We do a lot. We do a lot. So the more easier you could make it by submitting one form, the better. We are all volunteers. And to look at 100 and something forms, is a lot. But if we had 12, and then we could just take that 12 and go and look, it would be much easier. So governing documents, we creating government documents. We're in the process of doing that now. I have drafts of documents. We have standards, forms, reports. So we are maintaining and creating documents. We are the point of contact when you have a problem with your cadres or within your cadres. Also, when you're forming your cadres, we help with your naming convention, which is very simple. You'll hear about that. And any issues that you have related to cadres. If you're not sure of a particular continuing education format, we have a format for you. And the hope is that different cadres will come up with different ideals. I know Ted is good for retreats and how, they structure their retreats. So maybe another cadre want to do a retreat, but may not have that familiarity with it. We can say, hey, look, this is what this cadre did. They created this retreat and this is what they did. This is what was presented, and really help each other. How do we help the broader CPEI, within our little groups? So, it's important that we document what we do, submit it for either approval. We're going to be working very closely with the COA. Am I saying that right? Chief Academic C, yes.
You got the right letters.
Sorry?
You had the right letters, just mixed them up.
All right, right. So we're gonna be working very closely to make sure that we are in line and getting approval for certain continuing educations. CEUs, is important. So we want to work together. So we'll be working closely with that. You submit your forms. We review the forms after it's done, and we will let you know if something needs to be updated or corrected or redone. We will let you know of that. We will also conduct town halls from time to time when there's changes being implemented. We'll stay very closely with the leaders. They're called, so the person who actually leads the group and schedule the meetings is called a leader. So that leader will work very closely with the cadre oversight committee. And then others, throughout, we will, make sure that we all know each other. When I first came to CPI, and this is not a secret, I told Alex, I said, I felt lost. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how to get in touch with anyone. I'm looking at some of the people on their faces on the screen. I don't know any of these people. And how do I get to know these people? So I felt lost. And when you're lost in the wilderness, you begin to you're going to sit down in a corner somewhere and just be lost. So cadres is a way of helping people, because I've heard, even in the organization, that I don't know anyone but you. And I'm like, well, I'm new. So, you're much older than I am. So it helps bridge that as well. Really get to know our colleagues and working, and then also attending the gatherings, the yearly gatherings, and really getting to know each other. So we're going to have some town halls. We retain all documentation, all best practices, in case we get audited, all of, what we do is documented. Also, we're going to look at some various communication strategies, really understanding how do we communicate with one another, and then feedback. Give us feedback on what we could do better. Maybe we could change some things, because as I said, this will be the pilot. So as you go through that pilot, you can document and, write down what could be done better, how we can strengthen, the cadre system. Recruitment. We'll need people. The oversight committee needs people. I thank God for Shirley coming aboard, and also Jeffrey. He's not able to make it to this gathering this time, but he really worked hard with me. We were shooting documents back and forth, coming up with different structures. So I'm thankful for the ones that I have, but we definitely need more, especially when it comes to reviewing to different persons reaching out because this is so new. So there's going to be questions, there's going to be confusion. So we need more hands. So if you know of anyone, and thanks Ted for your recommendations. If you know of anyone that may be interested in helping us out, please shoot them our way. The foundation. So now when you look at, as I said, there will be, I'm going to show you a little guide or cheat sheet of what we're looking for, but it's a full page or two of exactly what we're looking for when you think about continuing educations. And I say that as, if you're going to have a presentation, what are the pieces in the presentation that should be documented? That's really what it boils down to. We're calling it a guide, but it is a guide. And you really want to say, okay, this is the aim. This is the real objective to why we're presenting this. This is the description of it, and give examples. We have a full document as an example that we will give for hospice. So, but it needs to be refined as we go. As I said, when persons look at it and say, hey, it'd be better if you add this, or maybe you take this out. Maybe this is too much information. So we're looking for that kind of feedback. So this guide or document will be used to really say, this is what we're presenting. Does this suffice as CEUs? Can we use this going forward? So it's that kind of foundation that we're really looking for. And I'm gonna stop right here. I've been talking a lot, talking fast. I got to slow down. I tell you, I get excited when I get to this, and see if there's any questions, comments, concerns at this point. Remember, this is interactive. Is someone saying something?
Let's speak louder. Yeah.
I hear something far in the back.
So is this a place where students who want to connect with the professional community, learn more, that they could be involved with also?
Yes, it is. As I said, any trainees, and I gave a number of about roughly 130, combined with candidates seeking certification, supervisors, training supervisors, supervisors in training. The total is about 130. So yes, they will, but the only caveat is that they really shouldn't be, or will not be in the same group as their supervisor.
If there are community members who are, I'm thinking of our community in particular, that aren't a part of CPEI or have stepped out of the chaplain role, but want to stay involved and keep it fresh. Is that
yes, absolutely. All are welcome. But I wanted to start, the pilot doesn't just have to start. I picked this group because I know coming up at the end of the year, they need to submit a report. So that's why this group was started. But anyone, we all will be a part at some point. If you want to volunteer, you're welcome.
Also, a question that this wouldn't just be, the cadre would not be just a cadre of supervisors.
No.
You're asking for diversity within the groups and that every person come to the table.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Everyone has something that you could learn from. I had this saying, I learned this saying along from every person you meet, and take something from them and it'll go a long way. You never know what a BCC or someone could bring to the table. We all have skills. So we don't want to leave anyone out, and I don't want anyone to be robbed of their learning. So it's best to get diversity at its best, all around levels, color, nationality, background, whatever it is, diversity. And that way you could take something and learn from each person within your group.
So Tina, this is Ted, just a clarifying question. So you're also including current students who are enrolled?
Yes.
What if they're enrolled as special students, or is it just their one-off unit to satisfy the ordination or their own seminary process?
Well, if they're just doing it for one-off and they're not gonna be around for continuing education and all that, they don't need to be a part. But for those who are looking to be certified, then yes, it would benefit them.
So they're accepting an offer, but they're not required.
Right, absolutely. Right. So we just spoke about it. See, I tell you, I'm getting ahead of myself. I get excited. We're looking for diversity, different experiences, different education backgrounds, just diversity through, though not certified instructors, maybe you're working on it. Maybe there's, as Ted said, someone who wants to be affiliated. I think I heard someone say that, wants to be affiliate, but not necessarily a training supervisor or, seeking any sort of certification. All are welcome. We could get information, we could glean from each other, and what this whole thing is making kind of like a standardized approach, if you would, that everyone brings something to the table. We all are material that we could learn from. What is it? The human living document? We all have different experiences. So we really want to promote that and push that forward. Now, some of the examples we give, and I took the document we created and just kind of made some bullet points out of it. It's like, what is your learning objective? What task are you really looking at? What are conditions, general sections, standards, and a description of really what's going on. And it gets a little longer, but I just took some of the core bullet points and put here. There's, like I said, I think it's like 2 to 3 pages long. The example with actually written material, which you have. And you don't have to go by that. You could just take it and doctor it up to your own to how it fits your particular training that you're seeking approval for. And really just, make it your own and get approval. I'm going to open the floor at this time to see if there's persons who've been familiar, who've been involved with, who, have some thoughts on small groups, and let's just kind of brainstorm and see, where we end up. Something that worked for you in the past or something you think will work for you. Boy, everyone is talking all at the same time. I'm going to call her name Pat. I don't see you, but
You get called out, you. I would sit on the side, say, man, I didn't. In another organization I had belonged to, which was called Chapters, we were spread out throughout the country from Colorado to Mississippi, Louisiana, and down in Florida. And we would try to get together as a group at least once a year, but otherwise it was done online. Now, our group did not meet very often, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I don't know how often you're planning or Cadres with recommendation how often they would meet, but we would bring in
Pat, let me just answer that for you. Each cadre is responsible for their own, how they meet and structuring within the boundaries of, each member would have responsible for a certain amount of hours per year. So that 2 hours, the same concept that so you could meet twice a year to have, a retreat to go away or whatever. You could meet on Zoom. I would not suggest have monthly just meetings just to have, because you need the functioning together. You could meet every other month. However, the cadre want to function. Same concept.
And the positive thing for me was just build up those relationships with other people that we had some same issues and that we're dealing with. We supported one another through sicknesses and through other issues that we're going through, and celebrating with each other. So it's a very good lifelong friendships that I made that I would have never had opportunity to make before. And even some of those who are no longer part of the groups that I'm in right now, they're still friends, and I
Yes.
still communicate with them. That's my history with them.
Good. Anyone else have any experience? Shirley?
My experience has been with belonging to a chapter, and I haven't really, it hasn't been all that long. I've not been in a position of leadership. Just going through the certification process, my chapter, helped to walk me through it. I had to make all my presentations to them before, before it went before the board, and then now when we meet, we're kind of taking turns making some presentations, nothing formal like you're describing, just, whatever we think we have to share that might be of use to the rest of the people in the group. I think the whole group is either hospital or hospice chaplains, so it's not the diversity that you're talking about either. So this is, I'm trying to take notes here on what I'm hearing as differences being much more didactic like than than a kind of sharing. So that's my impression anyway, unless I'm getting it wrong here.
Well, it's always been where you continual learning, I think it should have always been. It's just more documented now. You just document, what you do. So it's the same structure, same concept, but just we're documenting. So if we have to show what we did, we're able to do that. Because as you heard, one of the pillars of CPEI is professional development. So we want to be able to show it and document it as opposed to just, talking, and we all do it. We've all, had presentations in different areas, but it's just having to document it, what the aim was and what the description of it is. So it's the same kind of thing. When you talk about diversity, it's just good. I don't know how many people are in your chapter. But to bring diversity at its best, if you have those two, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I'm giving an example of a formation of what to do. You're already formed. You already have your cadre is there already. So that's what it is. So don't feel like, oh, we're not in line. But diversity is something, and you probably do have some diverse skills because I see your chapter already. Everyone is not the same race, there is diversity.
Oh, yeah, diversity that way, yes. I just thought I know you had mentioned like prison ministry versus palliative or hospice and, not just hospital chaplaincy.
Right, you don't have to,
yeah.
but, I've seen your chapter and you do have diversity. You're a cadre, sorry.
Are you finished, Shirley? Didn't want to cut you off. My experience has also been in chapters, obviously, and in being a convener of a chapter at one point. Reporting up, as you have already said, Parthenia, it should have been that just what you've already said, that there should be some training as well as sharing and conversation, and it not just be a listening space. Some of the downfalls I've experienced in the chapter was there were persons who took CEE, clinical pastoral education, but had no intention on getting licensed, and they just wanted a place where they could come and fellowship, and so it kind of got stuck in that area. And so when we wanted to divide or whatever, then you had those persons who were concerned because they weren't really licensed, had no intention on being licensed, and didn't want the chapter to fold. So those are some of the experiences. But as when I was convener and the convener who is now, makes a point of having training every time. We did meet every other month, so that there wouldn't be, like you said, why are we just meeting to be meeting, or, and then in the manuals or policies, they're right, the number of hours was always there. You had to have that. So again, if you were reporting up, you knew that, and the various different things that you had to put on that report at the end of the year was saying that you were doing some type of trainings as well, and sharing and building and encouraging. So
Thank you. It's important, one of the things, my background, compliance, risk management. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist. So you could do all these great things in these cadres. If it's not documented, you did nothing. Someone want to say something in the room? You just lit up.
I'll just speak to something I don't know what was being mentioned, but this is Ted.
Mhm.
Can you hear me okay, Tina? I just didn't know if we need me to be closer or not.
I think we can hear you. Can everyone hear him?
I'll get.
Yes, yes.
So I guess what I was just thinking is, you're talking about experience. There's obviously a lot of refugees from CPSP here, and probably a lot more coming. So yeah, I think understanding the cadre system coming from a chapter system, I think people are going to kind of get that, and I appreciate you focusing us, Tina, on what the difference is. Documenting the work that we need to do together. One way that I know the chapters in the East Coast have been working over the last several years is to take ownership of a clinical training program. So CPSP used to sponsor a national clinical training seminar that happened in the New Jersey area. Two of the chapters from CPSP kind of took it over. And I and our affiliate program also co-sponsor it from the last several years. So CPEI has actually had a foot in the door of doing a day-long training seminar day, which obviously lead to CEUs, and I'm applying for the CEUs for that program for this year. So that's just another example of how cadres might be able to get together, whether you do this in person or do it online, but to offer a clinical seminar day. Check off that experience.
Yes, and so Ted just informed you of that. There is one coming up. If you still need to get some continuing education in, go to that seminar. that will help you. That's in November. I'm sorry, Ted.
I said, yeah, I mean, anyone within driving distance who want to fly into New Jersey for the day, it's just a one-day seminar, but yeah. All well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else want to share? If not, we're going to move on. So once you get this format done, and it's just instructions, we call it a block of instructions. You will have it approved. You can look over it with your cadre first to make sure that everyone is in line with it, or the leader, not necessarily all the members, but the leader. And then, we submit it to Chief Academic Office through the Cadre Oversight Committee, and we will file it and you will move forward. I have a lot of information here on these slides, but that's what it is, just information. I'm not going to speak to each and every line. And I think a lot of them, like Ted said, we have a lot of refugees from other organizations. So you know what it's like. It's very similar. In fact, it's the same. There's nothing new here except the naming convention, that we're more intentional in documenting what we do. And that, when I say the naming convention is, we're not names, we're numbers. So with cadre 1, 2, 3, 4 until the end. You have leaders instead of conveners. And we have this annual report for what do you call it? Continuing education is more intentional as opposed to saying, yes, this person met or, sending individual forms. It's one form for all the members of the cadre. That really is the only difference. Everything else is the same. We're not going to reinvent the wheel because it was a great system and it is a great system. And so the only difference, as I said, is the numbers and more intentional. We still accountable. We support each other.
Pete, I have a question.
Mhm.
Just a clarification. I know you said to have maybe the groups very diverse as far as their fields of profession. However, if I'm an Army chaplain, I don't want to be with a bunch of hospital chaplains because that has nothing to do with my world. If I'm a prison chaplain, or I'm a community chaplain or industrial chaplain, hospice may not be anything that I really deal with. I'd want to be with people who are in my same area. So if I'm a hospital chaplain, I'd really like to hear from other hospital chaplains. If I'm a hospice chaplain, really hear from how other hospices are doing their work. If I'm a military chaplain or a police chaplain or a fire chaplain, whatever it may be, I would like for me to learn from them what they do rather than hearing about things that I'm really not going to have anything to do with. But if I have a police chaplain or a fire chaplain or a military chaplain, that's not really going to change the way I would do my hospital chaplaincy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be combined, but also have some specialty groups
Mm-hmm.
for those who are really interested in being in their own particular category. That's just my opinion. That I would get more of.
Pat, well, as I said to Shirley, these are suggestions. You could take 12 hospital chaplains or 12 military chaplains and stay together, all the same color, all the same background, that's your cadre.
Yeah.
I was just speaking of different examples of diversity and how you can learn differently. But if you want to continue to be in that group, that's up to the cadre.
No, I agree. I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah.
Some cadres could be specialized cadres, while others are general cadres.
However you wish to form and conduct your meetings, that's up to the cadre. Each cadre determines its members, how you meet, when you meet. That's up to the cadre. I'm just giving out hints and different ways of how to form. You could all be the same. That's up to the cadre. Someone said something? Somebody's you're laughing in the room. What happened?
Claiming Ted. I want to be in Ted's. I said.
Ted is the man always. Okay, we're gonna move on. Membership. We've all, I've kind of touched on all this as I was going, but to Pat's point, if everybody want to be the same, that's up to you. That's the cadre. You are free with creativity. Creativity for me, my chapter, we have some diversity. We have some that are the same. There are a few that are the same. And it's okay. But we still show that diverse background, that diverse. It's maybe you have 2, 3, 4 of the same, but there's always someone different. And I was intentional when I did that. But you can be the same. Composition. Like I said, trainees just may not be in the same cadre as your supervisor. You can have existing cadres, you can switch, you can break off, create another one, whatever you want to do. As long as you get consultation, you select a leader. And in some cases, what happens is the leader is the one who forms the cadre. That's some cases. Some cases, a group of people come together and say, okay, which one of us will be the leader? So it's various different ways you could go about it. I'm picking some people, Ted, Pat, Shirley, Dorothea, these are all the people that I'm picking, you know, to form however you wish to form. Daniel, Joseph, all of you are going to be leaders or not. You know, you don't have to be a leader. You can just be the person that say to initiate it, and then you come together and then pick the leader. So that's what we're looking for. If you don't, like I said, you may not say, I'm not going to be the leader, but I can pick a group of people. I can gather some people together. I can select some people. And then once you meet, okay, you decide, and what's the term of the leader? You know, maybe you'll pick someone and say, okay, you be the leader for 2 years. I wouldn't say 1, because 1 year, you just really getting into the motion and learning how to do things. And then it's time to go on. So maybe you have 2-year terms and then you switch, or, you know, whatever it is you want to come up with. And the meetings, of course, whatever way, you can have a day-long meeting, like Ted mentioned a little while ago. You can have a weekend meeting, however the cadre decides, but there are some criteria. You'll see we have a handbook, and it's in draft now. And so you can just look at the guidelines and make sure. And many of you already know the guidelines. It's nothing that has changed. And here's our cadres. So you have the numbers, the suggested lead names, their certification level, and then you fill out the formation form, which has a spot for 12 members. And I'm going to stop sharing, and we're just going to chat and see where we are. I'm open the floor now. Now I see you better.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up the screen here for Karen.
Has this been any help at all? You know, it's the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's something that has been necessary. And I think, as you said, what do you call us, refugees?
That was Ted. That wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you, somebody,
Yeah.
you know, have been thinking of the need, because you do feel like a fish out in the ocean when you come, even though it wasn't intentional, but, you know, no one knows anybody, no one feels connected to the body. Mhm.
I will be anxious to see the manual that you're describing. Just to be clear, as I said, as being a member probably only for, I don't know, a couple of years and not being in leadership, to really see what the distinctions are between the chapters and the cadres in terms of expectations and like I hear what you're saying, the documentation and the professional development. Although that was always there and implied, sometimes it was as simple as presentation of a case study, more than a formalized educational presentation. So I'll be anxious to see that.
Okay, and let me just clear this up. We're not taking away from the case studies at all. You still conduct your case studies as you always have.
Mhm.
This is, you know, an intentional learning in a different way, right?
Mhm.
So we want to take some sort of presentation to learn, and I'm just going to say, because I know prison, right? So I'm going to present on this particular time, this month, on prison. We're still going to do our case study. You know, if someone have a case study to present, that's still normal. That's still the way it is. You know, nothing has changed there. But we're talking about intentional, and it could be a case study. You present a case study and turn it into a learning for everyone. That's not changing.
Tina,
This is
Tina,
an addition.
yeah.
Mhm.
Is there room for the meeting itself? Is it counting as some sort of credit towards, like 20.25 or
We haven't
50.5
discussed,
or
we haven't discussed the actual.
okay.
yet, but more really how to document case, if it's a case presentation that you're doing, document it such. This is the objective, but a lot of times in case studies and all that, we learn as we are reviewing it, right? So you could give us, say, okay, we want to learn X this theory, or I don't know, but be creative and do what you do, but just document how you do what you do. That's all it is, Shirley.
Mhm.
Like the learning of the seminar that Ted spoke about. There's going to be, a speaker on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ted, if I doesn't get this right, but I believe drug abuse. And so that's it right there. You talk about the description of it, what happened, what was the objective, and so there's a write-up on the presenter. So that gives all that information. So it's things like that, intentional education. The small groups, that's what we do. We present. I'm presenting myself. I have a problem. And we're helping each other.
Mhm. I want to get the information on the presentation that you're doing, Ted, too. I didn't get the, yeah, so.
Sometimes my distribution list is lacking, so make it a note, send it off to you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so you have freedom to be creative,
Mhm.
but just make sure that, if you're going way out the box, just run it by. And Shirley, aren't you on our team?
I, let me see here. I was, yeah. I mean, I actually signed into the original email or the original meeting because I wasn't quite sure what I was signing into, but I was in on the original discussion that we had, but I wasn't clear going forward. I didn't receive anything after that, so I thought, that's why I wanted to make sure that I was here, during
No,
this
you are
time.
still on our team. I haven't met because I've been trying to
Yeah, no, that's
some-
fine. Yeah,
some documents
my,
together and presentation for today, but we'll go back to business as usual. I need all hands. So you'll be a part on making sure that handbook really outlines what you're talking about.
okay.
Tina, can I make a suggestion then? So as soon as the handbook is published, perhaps we send out a message and a link to all of the people who are whoever or whatever status they are in CPEI, whether they're alumni, current students, faculty, to actually sign off on your PowerPoint slides, as well as just acknowledging that they have access to the manual.
Yes.
We will just document again that
Mhm.
CPEI know what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happens in the hospital all the time. You have to go into your learning platform. Sign off the assignment.
Yeah. And we will probably bring everyone together because, as I said, this is a pilot. And at the end of the year, we want to hear feedback. It's a pilot. We want to understand, what were some of the challenges, the struggles, and how we could move forward. So we will probably have, or we will have, a gathering of all those leaders who were the leads of the cadres during the pilot.
When you say the end of the year, are you talking about this year? Because I mean, we're talking, I mean, my chapter has been meeting, but we probably will have only one more meeting before the end of the year. So
Yeah, the coming together after the pilot will be probably in January, February. Because we want to make sure that everyone has submitted and really get a good feel. It's not going to be because the reports are actually due December 31st. So if they're due December 31st, we can't meet before the end of the year because that's the last day. So it will probably be in January, just to see what happened. Did you meet? Did you not meet? Did you form? Well, you should form, that's for sure, but you're already formed. So the others that are in this pilot, you know, how many members you have, how did it work, you know, what were some of your struggles? This is a pilot.
But, yeah, but for example, in my chapter, it's only myself and one other person that are members of CPEI. The rest are still in CPSP, although they probably will transition. So I'm not sure how that pilot becomes an, you know, official part of your program here, you know, as far as a
Well,
chapter.
But Shirley, we could talk offline. because I
Okay,
have some
okay.
questions. Anyone else?
Just
The
have,
floor.
folks, when I mentioned the Eastern Clinical Training Seminar, that link to registration is supposed to be sent out by Krista. She just was overwhelmed this last week, so surely it'll be out that way too, but I'll send it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? I see this gentleman sitting right in front of me. I don't know his name. He's very quiet. He hasn't said anything. He has on a blue suit, I think. It's a, yes, right in front of me. Could you introduce yourself? Who are you? I can't hear you. You probably got to come a little closer.
Yeah.
Did anyone hear that?
He's gonna be my cadre.
I did say I claimed Ted to be a part of his cadre.
Okay. Okay. Is anyone in the room that did not say anything that wanted an opportunity to say something?
I didn't say anything, but I have nothing to say. Can't even say.
Okay. All right, well, is there anyone, I'm just gonna put it out there, so I don't have to volunteer you, would like to volunteer for a lead, or volunteer to be a part of us?
Well, I feel voluntold as a leader of a cadre, so I'll try to work on that.
Right, so I got Ted. I got Shirley.
My name is Clarence Miller.
Your name is?
Clarence Miller.
I didn't hear what he said. Did anybody else?
Miller.
I heard Miller.
We'll get up there, Clarence. Get there.
My name is Clarence Miller.
Oh, Clarence Miller, you volunteering too?
Yes, I'm volunteering, but we have a number of people in the Kansas City area,
Uh-huh.
local, and I would like to consider maybe doing a local cadre.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
So I'll put you down as a volunteer for the cadre, Ted, Shirley, Clarence,
Did you
Dorothy.
just call out my name or did you really mean you?
Yeah, I just called off your name. I got Dorothy. Anyone else?
Will also volunteer. I'm Clarence Lawson.
Clarence. What was the last name?
LAWSON.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I saw Pat Davis.
I can change my name to Clarence.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to volunteer James Stewart, who's
For him. I was gonna get James in my cadre.
no, James is my leader.
Okay.
We transitioned a whole chapter. The whole chapter is coming. That's Lori, Emily, everyone is coming. Nancy, our whole just shifted. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyone else? Did I say Daniel? Joseph? You volunteering? Can't hear you.
Here, Joseph.
What did you say?
Volunteer Joseph to be a Louisiana cadre man, and
Joseph?
from the Louisiana area together.
Oh, so you trying to say it's not going to be you?
No, I am interested in learning more about it.
Okay, so you're going to be together, Pat?
Yeah, I'll help Joseph.
Okay.
Tina, Daniel here. I'm
Okay.
not volunteering.
Okay.
I'm happy to volunteer sometime in 2025. I'm not going to be able to volunteer before probably
Okay.
spring of 2025.
Okay, fair enough. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I got 7. And I can look on the list and get some others. If you have anyone, if it's anyone here that would like to volunteer to be a part of the cadre oversight team? Wow. Not even one person. Well, if you know of someone, please send them our way. And I have nothing else to present. That ends our presentation of cadre and professional development. And we could stay and talk, but it's 12:30. We've been at it for an hour. And you're free to go throughout the rest of your day.
Thanks, Tina.
See you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's